Today is like one of those rite of passage days where I become a man. And that's because we're going to be replacing the clutch on my new, to me, BMW E92. Now, this is a hard video for me to do and for me to film. So I'm going to try my best to get as much angles as I can. This isn't going to be like a how-to video just because it's going to be very hard. I'm a one-man show. And it's also my first time doing this. I don't know how to replace a clutch. I've never done one. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a mechanic. FCP Euros does have a really good detailed video on how to do this. And that's actually what I've been watching for the past couple of days in preparation to do this. So I'll have that link down below in case you guys want to actually get like a more of an instructional video on how to do this. Go watch that. Today's video is just going to be me attempting to do my first clutch and you guys here to witness that. So let's get started. Car is all jacked up. We gotta remove a decent amount of stuff, and in order to stay organized, we're gonna put a lot of Ziploc bags and just kind of attach them to their parts. I was gonna work as long as I could until I needed a tool, but we got there already, so we're just gonna head down to Harbor Freight and pretty much give them my gallbladder because it's gonna be expensive. Frick. Start out by trying to remove that exhaust hanger, and then we have one more over here. I'll probably try to wedge right there and then just try to push forward. I don't know if y'all can tell from this angle, but exhaust hangers have been removed, and honestly I just used this really long pry bar and WD-40. So now that we can remove the rest of the exhaust, just a little bracket holding on, and then the connections from the exhaust to the downpipes or headers, whatever they're called. I know y'all liked my little trick to pull it out. So next we gotta start removing some of this heat shielding. Start taking all of these bolts out. That we got this little bracket that honestly wasn't even connected to anything anymore, so I might just delete it. Then we got this other exhaust bracket, and you could disconnect it from just right here, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do it from here. All of our brackets are now removed. We can start working on the drive shaft. Try to mark up the axe or the drive shaft to the little guibo thingy so that you can know exactly how it goes once you want to install it back on. So the drive shaft, then you're gonna need one of those, where these are called, on this side, and then on this side I believe you're gonna need an 18 mil, and just kind of do your best to remove that. And then in the rear we have one of those like star pattern bolts. That's the last one. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that one right now. But so the drive shaft, it turns, obviously. Right now it's locked because I have the brake, the e-brake pulled up. But whenever you need to move the drive shaft to get, like I need to in order to get to this third bolt up here, you're gonna release the e-brake, then you can turn it so you can put that bolt down here and then lock it back up, and then you should be able to remove the bolt without the drive shaft spinning. Then I'll need to remove this middle bracket, and then the drive shaft should be out of the car. I'm struggling a little bit with that end of the drive shaft, but this side has been removed. I ended up removing the little bushing on here just so that I could have extra room, because we're gonna have to work with this shifter a bit. I'm over that for right now. We're gonna go ahead and go inside to the cabin and remove all of the shifter, like the knob and yeah, all that stuff. In order to remove all of this you pretty much just push it off, and then to put it on you just kind of push it down, but shift boot, just pry it out. Next I'm gonna work on the harness for the O2 sensors. I guess you can just label them so you can know where each one gets connected to, but I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect it. Yeah, this bracket right here, I think we need to remove that one. So I took care of the harness and all the little brackets that were right here. Some of them over there, some of them there. Oh, also the clutch master cylinder, got rid of that. And now we're gonna go ahead and start working on our shift knob. This thing goes inside here. This is the clip that just kind of clamps on the other side of the pin right here so that it doesn't come out. And there's also these clips. So this clip pushes inside here, and then you push down and it locks in. So you have to pop it up. You could use a flathead and just kind of push it out like that, and bam, comes out. On theirs it broke off or something had happened, so they weren't able to show that part that well, but that's pretty much how you do it. And now this should be free from the transmission. Now we got to work on this thing that I believe it just kind of pops off. So it was right, just like that. Our whole shifter mechanism is now out. We have access to be able to work around here in order to remove our transmission. We have a bunch of bolts around the transmission bell housing that I have to take care of. I'm probably gonna take a small break so I could go inside, get a diagram of how each bolt is kind of aligned and all like the torque specs and all that, so I could have that all down. And then we have this bracket right here, this transmission bracket that has a couple bolts here, a couple bolts over here, and after that, transmission should be good to go. So a little trick I got off the YouTube video that I actually really like is I made a little diagram of the transmission and all and where the bolts go. And I made a little list of the numbers and each of those holes, depending where I get the bolt from, I'm gonna put it over here so like that I can stay organized and know exactly where the bolts go. I'm gonna start out with the easiest bolts, try to get up as high as I possibly can on this side, and then we'll leave the ones on the top for last. All right, just to show you all the little setup that I got. Now, it is hard, but it is doable. You just need a lot of these little swivel heads, really long socket. As y'all can see, got basically all of our bolts except for either the last one or the last two that are on top. If we look at our diagram, it is 1 and 11, I believe, unless 11 was the one that I took out from over here. But all of those are our bolts, and well, it's getting very hard to reach up there. I was able to reach up there, I just couldn't really put the socket onto the freaking bolt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start loosening up the transmission bracket. I'm gonna go bring out my trans jack, and hopefully loosening up the bracket lowers the transmission down a little bit so that we could have better access to the top of the transmission. This is my transmission jack that I bought from Harbor Freight. There was another one that I actually wanted, but this is the only one they had in stock, and it should be fine. We got it secured on our transmission. We can start loosening up our bolts. We now have a little bit more wiggle room so that we can try to get our hand on the top to remove the last bolts. All right, so I'm able to get a view from the top, and we have one more bolt that we need to get rid of. I don't know if y'all can see that bolt with the blue paint. We got to remove that one, but it should be easy now that I could move down the transmission and actually see it from the top. Just get yourself one of these lights. You're able to stick your head up like up the tunnel like that, and you're able to see all the freaking bolts by pushing this down. So perfect. Last bolt is coming out. Oh man, that was a struggle. Honestly, that last bolt, you're really gonna have to work at it. I don't really have big hands, they're decently big. But arms, I don't really have big like forearms or anything like that, so my hand was able to fit all the way up there. I really had to just work and trust my fingers, and then I believe that was the last bolt. So I think I'm gonna try to push or pull the transmission away from the engine, position our jack, and see if we can pull this off. Wish me luck, guys, because I need it. Man, we have achieved great success. The transmission is now out of the freaking, or it's separated from the engine. What a freaking relief. We're gonna start working on the clutch. So working on our clutch now. It smells burnt under here, so I'm pretty sure the clutch was just bad. In order to remove our pressure plate, we have these Allen bolts. I think we have like 6 around the pressure plate. Yeesh, I was wondering what all these marks were on the flywheel, and well, it's this. Whenever you would drive the car and you'd have the car just there and you'd push the clutch in, you'd hear the freaking thing scraping. So I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. So I don't know, but I hope we can fix that. I'm assigning the first MVP of the channel, and that is this freaking pry bar that I have been using for everything today. So I put back one of the transmission bolts back into the engine, and I'm kind of using this as a pry, because if you don't have something here, the flywheel is pretty much just going to spin when you try to remove all of the bolts. So you put that pry bar in there, you wedge it there, and this thing ain't going anywhere. And so I just got to remove all these bolts. Flywheel comes off. Oh yeah, she is leaky. I'm gonna have a fat ass neck from all this neck abs. Neck game gonna be strong. I got the shield off, so you can see all this little oil. I'm gonna spray all of this just with brake cleaner, try to get as much dirt out the way. But while we're down here, in order to remove this freaking little rear main seal, we're just gonna use a pick. Gonna try to dig up in there and try to pull this thing out without scratching any of the metal surfaces. But as far as the freaking gasket, yeah, we can damage that. We got a brand new one. So quick unboxing. We got our new rear main seal, got our new flywheel, our new pressure plate and clutch. We have a new clutch fork. We have a new, I forgot what this is called, but it's the thing that actuates inside of the clutch fork. And we have, you know, just extra miscellaneous parts. I get some grease, new pilot bearing, clutch alignment, and I don't know what's inside that box, but we'll figure it out. But we're gonna start out with our rear main seal. I don't have the proper tool to install this, but it's just a little gasket seal that you kind of just fit on here like that. This is like an alignment tool, so you could put the gasket in nice and straight. I don't know if that's all that it goes, but you just kind of push it down and try to get it in as perfect as possible. I don't know if y'all can see that little dimple on the edge of the gasket. That's where the engine, or where the block could be taken apart. We're just gonna get some gasket maker, add a little bit on there, and hopefully that does the trick. You could use a freaking, what are they called, like the bushing removal kit. It has like a big cylinder. You could use that, so you could whack that instead of trying to whack the gasket. I removed the clutch fork. All you gotta do is pull this thing off from the fork, and then you'll be able to slide the fork off. In doing so, our pivot ball ended up coming out, which is fine. But I think we found the culprit to the main issue of the clutch. I think it's broken. It's not supposed to look like that. So this does put a bit of an issue into our install, because now I need a new one of these. I should have ordered one. I just didn't know if I was actually going to need one. So now I got to figure out if AutoZone has some or somewhere local has them. It is Memorial Day weekend, I believe. So if I were to order one, I don't think it'd get here soon. Small rant. The clutch pivot ball is broken, and I should have bought one. When I placed an order for the gasket seal, I think on Tuesday, and it got here on Thursday, which was perfect. And I knew that day I should have ordered it, but I freaking didn't, just because I thought I could get away with it. So now I had to place an order at Advance Auto. They were the ones that could get it to me the fastest, and it's gonna get here till Monday, which really sucks. So for any of you guys that are doing this to your vehicle, just buy all the parts. And even that, why don't they just add it to the freaking clutch kit? They already added the fork, the freaking whatever, the bearing, and whatever else they added. Instead of adding those little bearings and the freaking other thing, they should add the freaking pivot ball. What I think I'm gonna do right now is, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and install the flywheel, the clutch, and just have to wait till Monday, which sucks. Well, we got a rear main seal in there. I kind of was just tapping all around until I finally got it in there. We got our gasket sealer or gasket maker. I just kind of put it on the edges while I was pushing it in. Hopefully, you know, that does its job. We're gonna go ahead and start installing the flywheel. So to install our flywheel, it's basically everything just reverse. But one thing I will say is, I did buy new hardware for this, because they did say that it was like a one-time use. I also got some blue thread locker. We're gonna add some to the bolts so that we can lock that down and make sure it doesn't ever come loose. Flywheel has now been installed. Obviously pry bar with the bolt. Did our best to just kind of hold it there. We can go ahead and install our clutch and our pressure plate. Clutch kit is officially installed. Everything torqued down, tightened down, and well, now we got to play the waiting game to be able to install our transmission back to the engine. Memorial weekend later, and we're finally back. It is Tuesday. I finally got the part that I was missing, and we'll just do a quick little comparison. As you can tell, this one's pretty much clapped out. And well, this is the new one. I believe this one, or the original one, is like made out of a plastic. So if you're doing this job and you have the original plastic one, I'd recommend just going and buying the new one, even if yours isn't broken, just because this one is like a metal. It's pretty heavy. and I already transferred over the little spring. So enough wasting time. Let's go ahead and continue what we were doing. In order to install the little pivot ball, so obviously it's the pivot ball, and then around it has like a little border. Find a socket that fits around the ball, put it around the edge, and then just whack it on until you get it to seat into the little hole. It's a little bit hard, but trust me, it'll go in. Parts are now installed, and go ahead and stab it into the engine. It's been a while, and honestly I didn't record anything just because of storage purposes. As y'all can see, transmission is installed. It's basically installed. We got all of our bolts already onto the engine bay. This thing is still kind of loose just because if I need to move it around to finish the shifter, but the shifter is pretty much installed. We got all our little brackets. Got to finish this tomorrow. I just don't remember exactly how to orient this, so we'll leave that for tomorrow. And got all of our harnesses in, got our clutch master or slave cylinder. I don't remember where this goes, so I'm gonna have to figure that out tomorrow. And harnesses are all wired up. Oh, this one, I forgot to wire that one up, but it goes right there. And yeah, I continue tomorrow. Continuing to work on the BMW. The bracket bolts into the cylinder where the slave gets bolted into the transmission, so make sure to put that bracket under that bottom bolt. Our shifter, in case you don't remember how this goes, it's gonna be one way, so it's really hard to show you guys the exact shape of the shifter, but point is, the shifter is gonna be pointing up, and then it's gonna be pointing inside in the cabin, and inside the cabin you want the shifter to be kind of in the middle. If you did it the other way, the shifter would be kind of like up here, and it would not go into any of the top gears. So that's how you know if your shifter is on properly. So now that you got your shifter on properly, we can go ahead and put our clip back on. Bracket is now on. This one, just put one side of the slots in, and then the other one just try to pop it in. And over here we already got these brackets. I don't even remember if I showed you guys, but the ones that you kind of push in through over here, and you just clip them down, and bam, they're locked in. The next day we got some daylight finally, and well, drive shaft is completely installed. Got all of our bolts tied down. We got our exhaust bracket on, we got this bracket on. I think now we can go ahead and install where the rest of our heat shields are now somewhat installed. For now, we're gonna go ahead and install our exhaust. A couple minutes later, exhaust is finally installed. First, I used a skateboard to kind of pull the exhaust out, but I ended up using the trans jack, and honestly, that thing is a sick second pair of hands. I ended up hoisting up there. I installed the freaking exhaust hanger bushing things first, and then I came over here to install the bolts. So I checked my work under the car, and I think everything is now officially done or installed. So you just got to come up here and finish installing the shift boot, the leather shift boot, and our shift knob. So we'll go ahead and do that. Shift boot now installed. Damn, freaking helicopter's like circling right here. One last thing that I probably do need to do is bleed the clutch, just because I had to crank it up open a little bit just so I could close in the freaking slave cylinder so I can install it. But I'm by myself right now, and I need someone to be pumping while I'm doing that, so we're gonna wait for my sisters. For right now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all my tools, and I think we're officially done. Ignore the mess, but I was cleaning up right now, and looks like we forgot something. There we go. See, I knew I was missing something. It looked a little too empty, but we got this little reinforcement installed. See, who said a 328 wasn't sporty? Get all this reinforcement. Who said? Huh? Not me. Continuing the clutch video, I tried bleeding the slave cylinder, and it wasn't holding pressure at all, and it started leaking out from the little boot. So I decided to buy a new one. It finally showed up today, and we're gonna go ahead and install that. Let me show you all the new part. So this is the new slave cylinder for the BMW. One of the good things that I like about this, if it works, is that it has a metal, whatever you call it, bleeder. The other one BMW parts, and I think Mercedes have a lot of plastic parts. I don't know why, but that's just how they make them, and hopefully this one does as well. This is the old one. This thing is broken also, so it's good that we're replacing this anyways. And what we're gonna do, okay, obviously we don't want too much fluid to be leaking out, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use one of these pliers and we're just gonna clamp it. It has this little clip in, so I'm hoping you just pull out that clip and then this thing should just pop out, because on the other one there's no threads. I already replaced it, so yeah, I just pulled out that clip from the old one and it popped out. So now we just gotta go ahead and either bleed it down here or try to bleed it while it's up there. I'm probably just gonna try to do it while it's up there. Just, I don't know, I don't even know why. I should probably do it down here, but we'll see right now. The way that I bled this is I got obviously an electrolyte Pedialyte type of bottle, and you could see the little tube, and I also filled it up with brake fluid. I really hope that this helps you guys out. I hope I'm explaining myself. It's pretty simple. You pretty much just put this on the nipple bleeder, open the nipple bleeder, and just keep pushing the clutch in the inside, making sure that the brake fluid is topped off. And someone else will be under here inspecting the air bubbles coming out of the hose. Whenever you don't see any more air bubbles coming out of here, close the nipple bleeder, remove this, and then put your hand on it, collapse it, do whatever you got to do to add some resistance, and then tell the person inside to press the clutch. And if they feel the pedal stiff, that's a good sign. So that's pretty much what I did. Hope my little info helped you guys out. I'm gonna call it for tonight. I don't want to risk messing around with it anymore, so put the nipple cap back on, and tomorrow I will try to start it up. Alrighty, so days after I finally fixed the clutch, and I completely forgot to film any of this process, but I finally got the car started. Battery is very drained, but the car was being such a butt to try to start, but I finally got it to start. I'm gonna let it just idle for a bit, and then we're gonna try to take it on a drive and hopefully charge up the battery, because the battery is just drained. But we'll see what happens. Really long video to edit, and honestly I procrastinated this video so much to the point that I didn't even want to edit it anymore. I didn't even want to upload anymore, but it had to be done. So if you made it to this part of the video, I really appreciate you. I really hope this video helps you guys out. I really tried to give as many tips and as many pointers as I could without it being like a how-to, so I don't have like a responsibility to uphold. I just kind of want to help you guys out. And the exact same things that I went through, my thought process throughout the clutch install and all that, I kind of wanted to portray that through the video. So if I did do that and you guys made it to this point of the video, again, thank you very much. If this video helped you guys out, drop a like for your boy. I don't want to extend this video anymore, so I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless. Chale ganitas. See you next time.